live.
Gloria, are you streaming?
No, now it is. Now it is. Yeah, it just needed a minute.
Okay. All right.
590 should be streaming live.
Why don't I go down and check the meeting? Almost there?
You're all set? Excellent.
We tested it out and everything.
All right. I'll probably be watching from downstairs. I
Okay.
discovered that I can't actually sit through when you guys call.
I was leaving it interpreted thing at some point, so we don't get on that.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Don't make me laugh. I'm not looking at you.
I'm gonna sit right in there.
Waving your hand the whole time?
It's not recording, you can stand. Sorry.
This morning, first, 45 minutes before kind of scared of the trees. Mine's in the wedges of something. Proceeds to roll around. Stephen Harmon, so. Like, I was hearing about the scary trees. It's scary against the gable. You shouldn't be scared of it. Yeah, he was supposed to come get into bed with us. And he's to start.
How old is he now?
6. That's what he says.
He already told us that.
Scale beyond anything that was massive. You? No, when I was a little, someone started to it seems like That's where I was recognized.
Yeah, you've got to hear more. Oh, yeah, no. Oh, yeah, I understand.
Hi. Hi, good afternoon. Thank you all so much for coming today. I'm Amy Taylor, the Access Services Librarian at the Pensacola Library, Washington College of Law, American University in DC. That's kind of a mouthful. Gosh, I'm having all the feelings right now. I'm really nervous, but really excited that you're here. I told myself that if 5 people I didn't work with showed up, I'd be thrilled. We're good. So this is about developing a legal research ontology. And so I'm going to talk about how the project got started, both in my mind and then in real life. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Actually, what is an ontology, and then how one works. And I'm going to demo the basics that I've gotten started with of the legal research ontology. So first, I want to show you this slide because when I first started thinking about this project and doing this presentation and putting this all together, I thought that I needed to be very formal and, why develop an ontology? Resource, specialized, and that's really not who I am. And the whole thing felt very fake. And so I made this very formal fake slide and thought I can't see myself sitting up here for an hour and talking like that. So, because basically what this slide says is you want people to be able to acquire, help with their knowledge acquisition, and then be able to retrieve it when they need to, and then use it to have some kind of higher level of abstraction to actually be able to put it to work. And so that's just much more who I am than this whole big formal slide. So this is not going to be a very formal presentation. This all got started, I would say, maybe late August, early September of last year. Well, first, I guess a little backstory about me. For those of you who don't know me, I won't make you spend the whole hour guessing where I'm from. I'm from Alabama. I think I sound like everybody else, but apparently I do not. I am just finished up my first year in the tenure process at the Pensacola Library. And so I, obviously need to have a scholarly agenda and do research and get published. And so, there's always that moment when you think, what am I gonna write about and what am I gonna devote myself to? And we were in like a training, kind of an update on Westlaw at the beginning of the fall last year. And our Westlaw rep was showing us, you can see on the left is Westlaw Classic, the traditional display of the West Kingdomer system. And then on the right is how it's updated and how it's displayed in Westlaw Next. And the classification outline has been removed. And maybe it's just because I'm a librarian, but I just thought, oh no, but I really liked the classification outline. It was an outline. It was visual and it helped me. And I thought, what does this mean? That there's this whole group of students who are, they're not going to see this the way that we saw it. And of course, I'm sure that's what other people said when it went from paper to online. So I did a poster session of this at a Catholic's library school. And someone came up to me and said, I'm not going to take credit for this idea. He said, I really think that when they made Westlaw, they just took the print and they just put it online. He said, but to me, Westlaw Next feels more like a real database. It's like the next level. It's not just that they've digitized the print. And I got to thinking about that and how, in a lot of ways, that's right. That there's a whole kind of higher level abstraction that's going on when you just see the Westlaw Next search box and you just get results like this. And I thought, well, what does this mean for the way, not to get too meta, but what does this mean for the way that people are going to think about the law? Is this going to change the law itself? I mean, the way that people conceptualize the law. And then I went to the lobby of the Internet Conference last fall, and there was a session on ontologies, and something just kind of clicked, and I thought, oh, even though I really didn't understand a third of what the person was presenting on, it was very high level. I thought, this is something that I could kind of see where we could do this for legal research and maybe give, especially for first year students, give them a template to see, because everything they learn is in these little silos within the different classes, and it's all these Socratic questions, and do they even really understand that every assignment they get has a work product at the end? I mean, even if you're just answering the client's phone call, you actually have to come up with something. It's not just these really philosophical questions that the professor's throwing at you. So that's kind of how this all got started, and I just started reading and researching. And I don't have a very technical background. I'm taking this MOOC right now on coding Python, and it's about to kill me. So there are things that I'm going to have to get some help to do, or I'm going to have to learn how to do. And that's kind of the ugly part of this. I mean, there were times when I was tempted to abandon this, and I thought, well, maybe part of what I can write on about this is how someone who doesn't have a techie background is trying to do something that it's really out of my skill set and out of my depth. I mean, maybe that can be part of what I teach is, how to kind of teach yourself. Or I don't know. Anyway, so this is where it all came from. So this is to me, incomprehensible definition of an ontology. And it is in all the literature, I have about 250 articles that I've downloaded and tried to organize. And this is the standard agreement, the standard definition. A formal, explicit specification of shared conceptualization. And I know that all those words are English, but bless their hearts, these people just are not speaking in English. But what they're trying to get at, as best I can understand, is it is a conceptualization in the sense that you have this world. And it's shared in the sense that you are agreeing upon on what the world is and what the definitions are. Explicit in the sense that it's machine readable, so that you can actually, it's more than just on paper. You can use a machine language. Formal in the sense of everything is agreed upon. Within the world and the domain. Once you say that X means X, then that's what it means. And then I have what I hope is a slightly more comprehensible definition. That legal ontologies represent legal knowledge with concepts and things that are related to each other and instances of the concepts, and then these axioms, these principles. And then, what I hope is, the thing that in my brain when I'm trying to explain it to myself, the Amy style definition, is that you've got this taxonomy. Because I know people have asked me, well, what is an ontology? Why is it more than a taxonomy or more than a thesaurus? So the taxonomy, you have the parent-child relationship. And then to get the ontology, you add a thesaurus. So you put equivalence relationships and also associative relationships in there. And then the cherry on the top of this little ontology sundae is you have custom associative relationships, which, as best I can understand, means that you can actually query the database and get some sort of answer back that's going to help you with your knowledge. And this, I have to admit, is the part where I'm completely out of my depth. And I guess that's what tenure years 2 through 6 will be. Is figuring out custom associative relationships. So this is called the, oh man, I'm totally blanking because I'm so nervous. It's the semantic web. It's the definition of the semantic web. It's how it all works. You start out basic with your Unicode, and you add your XML and your RDF and your ontology, and more data, and then you get the rules in. And this is it's called the semantic web layer cake. That's what it's called. Okay, I just thought it was colorful and pretty, and I understand maybe half of it, but I just wanted to put this in here for you to say that there's some rules to this, and there's a way that this is supposed to work. And so, what language are you going to use to build the ontology? All the literature that I was reading, it started in the early 90s, and it's evolved through some languages. And now the one that seems to be widely supported, it was OWL, and now it's OWL2. And it is developed from RDF for the semantic web, and it's integrated into Protege, and Protege is the program that I'm going to demo in a minute, and it's edited by the World Wide Web Consortium. So if you were to Google Protege or W3C, OWL2, you get all this information, and you get all of these just hundreds and hundreds of pages of guides on how to use them and what it is and what everything means, and etc. So it's all out there and freely available. And Protege is supported by Stanford, and it is also freely available. There's a couple different versions. One is the fancy, run it from the web, install Apache Tomcat on your computer, and I was not able to figure that part out. Again, tenure years 2 through 6. And so I just downloaded the basic package that Protege lives on my computer, and you just download it with the bulk file. So I'm not quite as sophisticated as Protege wants you to be, but I'm able to make it work for my purposes. And so this is the structure of OWL2. Again, I just wanted you to have this, that everything is being mapped into different RDF documents, OWL documents, all these layers of things. There's all that. For those of you, this is a very basic lecture. For those of you who are more advanced than I am, this might be something that you can take away from this. So Protege's got your basic visualization and plugins, GraphViz, where you can view the classes as a tree, or you can nest and view in and out. And I'll show you what this is. Okay, so to develop this ontology, you have to decide what the world is and visualize the concepts and their relationships, and then you populate it. There is something called the LKIF core ontology that's put out by the University of Amsterdam, basically the concepts. You can Google this and get all kinds of great information about it, and you can actually download this ontology into Protege and use it and play around with it. And really any ontology that is available like this, you can download into Protege. I've thought about, for one thing, this is more of a European core ontology, or from a European framework, so everything doesn't really map one-to-one. I really, when I was thinking about the ontology, thought about it in like subject matter, people, the classes that the first years have, so torts and contracts. And what kind of law, cases and statutes, and what kind of legal research are they going to be doing. They're in practice guides, and they're in encyclopedias, and they're in, case law. And then the work product that they're getting out of it. So I really try to keep it pretty basic is for my big categories. So my classes were those big categories, and then members of the class, and then the relationship between the object and the class. So you can see. So negligence, like towards the class, then negligence is the subclass. And then the property of tort law, was there a duty? So duty would be the attribute of tort law. And then objects are instances of the class. And then the relationship between the classes and the objects in the sense that, some duties that you have in tort, they might even be contractual duties. So that kind of meshes in torts and contracts. So hopefully it gets into the fact that even though their first year classes are very siloed, everything is all messy and happening on top of each other. Okay, so this is the end of the slideshow. So let me see if I can gracefully get into Protégé. Okay, so this is what Protégé looks like. And this is the one that I just have downloaded on my computer. So you can see I have the five classes: the area of law, final product, legal action, type of law, type of research materials. And then I didn't go through and make this complete, but I just filled in a few things under each class. And then you can see here in this tab, I'm in the visual part of Protégé. You can also see that were I to go back into area of law and then click here, then I could create a new, I could create a new, I guess I could create, let's see if I can create a constitutional law. And it's there, and then it shows up. You can move things around so you can see things in different ways. And then you can hone in on things, and then you can go into an area of law. And then things show up over here. So you see constitutional law is a subclass of area of law, and contracts, etc. So you can start to populate it. And then eventually, this can be published. It has a URL, and so it anyway. So this is what I have been kind of playing around with to see how it works. Does anyone have any questions? I'm embarrassed to say that it really didn't take me that long to go through this. I guess I talked really fast. Yeah.
Where do you get the software and how much is it?
Oh, it's totally free. I mean, you can Google Protégé in Stanford and just download it. And it will tell you that it wants you, it will say, we want you to run the web-based version and download all this other stuff, and I couldn't make that work. And then they'll say, but we have this standalone package that you can just download kind of as a zip file. And so it works for Mac and Windows.
And could you overview the general, what it's used for? Is it like creating a database?
That is my understanding. And that it's, so you can see under here, open recent. So this is, the top one is the one that is living on my hard drive, the one that I've created. But this other pizza ontology is like this starter ontology that comes with a tutorial so that you can learn how to use the software and everything's already kind of done, so you just kind of follow along. And then, like I said, if, like the LKIF ontology that the University of Amsterdam has, you can go and download it into Protégé, and then it'll open up in Protégé. So you can play. All this stuff is kind of open source, I guess is the word. Like it's freely shared, so you can take other people's ontologies and use them and riff on them and change them if you want to. So.
Can you talk a little bit more about, you started with sort of what gave you the idea, and you were showing the two different Westlaws and so forth. I'm assuming you teach legal research, you said. So can you talk a little bit more about, especially as you played with this and come to understand more of the nuts and bolts, how you see this being implemented in your classroom?
Right. Oh, thanks. Great question. Thank you. So I think a couple different things. One is, I think you could totally take still images from this or just sections of it and make it very flat and linear, almost like a handout. Because I guess what I think most about what I wish I had done in law school is I wish someone could have opened up my brain and kind of gave me the context for everything. Because everything, I felt like I was just seeing all these trees and I never really saw the forest until too late. And so for me, this was a way to kind of get to see forest. And then after my first year, you have the summer internship job where they want you to write memos and draft this and do that. And you think, oh, so all this kind of has a point. All this isn't really just this pie in the sky kind of legal philosophy. And so that's why I put in the final product. So that students get an idea that they're actually doing this they're learning all this for a practical reason. So I guess I see one part of it is just something you give to them, or maybe you incorporate into your teaching. Maybe you use it in the sense of exercises. And then I think once it gets built more, I actually think you could use it. I mean, my understanding of the ontology is a student could come in and say, I have got this assignment to draft a complaint and it's on a custody suit. What would be some good sources for me to consult? And it would be more dynamic. That's my understanding of it. So it would be maybe clinical programs could use it, or it could just be something that students could take with them in the summers, to kind of say, or someone could say, I've got this contracts issue, and this is the type of law I'm using. What are some of the legal actions to get with it? Because that would be another thing that happened to me kind of in my summers, where I couldn't really figure out where to start researching because I didn't really know. Like in contracts, what were the legal actions? And I know that in the past, people had form books for this and different things like that, but it just seems like all that has kind of gone away and everything is turned into this one big box that you search.
So would you hand this to the students as a tool to use themselves to build things, or build their own sort of outline, if you will?
Yeah, I think you could, I totally think you could do it that way. Or you could mimic kind of scenarios that they might find themselves in and say, kind of like a choose your own adventure, only it would be a little bit more defined than that, and it would be more, these are all the situations these are some of the situations you could find yourself in, and this is kind of the world of things that you would be looking to do. And these are some of the other resources that you could use. Kind of like more of having a librarian with you, without having a librarian with you, kind of like that. Just to give them a little more, I don't want to say safety net, but just to give them a little more, just to make them feel a little bit more confident. I'm sorry, did that answer your question? Okay.
I'm trying to get there, yeah. I
Okay,
think
sorry,
so.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to get there too.
You're stuck, from the looks of it, pretty much with the way that law professors have traditionally divided up the universe. And it would be possible perhaps to design it completely different and not, for example, use the overarching category of family law or property law for that matter. And so, just depending on where you want to go with this thing,
Right.
there might be sense in breaking it down even more and getting rid of some of the distinctions that might be artificial.
Right. I ran into the problem of, okay, at a certain point I just needed to build a little something and get something going. One, to have something to demo, but two, just to get it from being so much in my head where it just kind of felt like it was swirling around. And and this is what I had, and I think this kind of gets back to the point of how do you define the world? And then also that it has to be shared. I mean, that in the sense of, and it's so weird to me because it's almost like I need more collaborators, because this is just what I've come up with. But it's so in my head that you're right. It needs to be more of a, almost like a group thing or more, but there's so many ways. Like I think, and something else I've been thinking is, because I've read some articles about how teaching legal research is changing, and it's like, really, how are we gonna teach students in the next 20 or 30 years? You know, what are we gonna? I don't know about how you are in your schools, but we don't have a lot of time with ours, and then it comes back to us later on when they ask us these questions, and we think, oh wow, this was something that it seems so basic to us. But how are we gonna get to how they think about the world and the law? And right, so have I just replicated these old silos because that's what's comfortable for me? You know, because that's the way I learned it, and because I missed the key number outline from Westlaw Classic. You know, so am I just what am I helping them, or am I just making myself feel better?
Getting to the point of the collaborators, I think any of us who taught legal research for years have seen a shift. I certainly saw it within the last year. The people in the first year who learned Westlaw Next first, it was like a whole different group showed up in advanced legal research this year. And wondering if you have come across other things in your research and your 250 articles and everything, either tackling this question kind of in general, teaching legal research, but also perhaps other people who've attempted to do this with the ontology or a new mental model of how to teach this to them when you're right. We're not just teaching the updated print now. It's like if this is purely a database, not now.
So to the first part of your question, Legal Research Services Quarterly did a two-part. It came out in the last academic year. They did a two-part issue, and it's all about legal research. And basically, everyone is grappling with this feels really new, like the ground has shifted. And I wasn't able to see that anyone had any real answers, just that we're all kind of asking the same question in different ways and trying to see, like, what does Westlaw Next actually do, and what does Lexis Advance actually do, and kind of comparing and contrasting. I've done a little bit of this much reading in, sorry, I'm so nervous. I've done a little bit of reading in how people learn, like learning theory and experiential learning, and some names of people that I kind of can't remember, but it does seem to be, it's interesting to me teaching legal research, not having a teaching background, and how we're also, we all have the library degree and the law degree, but there's not like we don't have an academy of work on teaching legal research in a real formalized way. So I thought about maybe trying to research some of that, but I don't see that. I guess a group of people, I wonder if we can put our heads together and come. I mean, I know that we have done the Boulder Conference and things with trying to figure some things out. No, I think we're all just kind of in the same boat, for better or for worse, you know. And then the second part of your question about what people have used ontologies for, ontologies seem, at least in the legal world, like medical, there's some medical ontology models that I'd like to look at, and some engineering ontology models. But in the legal world, they seem to be strictly concerned with substance. So there's like this fabulous European IP legal ontology, but it's all about the law. So I didn't really come across anything that was more about trying to make it more about learning. Well, that was awkward. Sorry, I hope I answered your question.
I was, while listening to your presentation, thinking of two projects which unfortunately are now defunct. I think they pronounce it precedent. It's precedent, but with a Y. I don't think they, I was just looking up some old information, but I think they were relying on just the links between cases rather than ontology. So they may have had some of that in the background. But Old Law was another one, and they did work on ontology for that project, if you haven't already come across that. Unfortunately, the project, lasted only a few years, but I think it was associated with Columbia, so, presumably some good people were at least making an
And the
attempt.
stuff is probably still there somewhere.
Yeah, the stuff, it looks like they have a GitHub.
Oh, okay. Another thing I never read about.
Yeah, and I've been there and done that with the Tomcat, why isn't this working? Why can't I install it? There's this new, relatively new project called OpenShift. It's sponsored by Red Hat Linux. And it promises like one click and you can install Tomcat. I did one click for an RSS reader, and it worked. And it's still working a month later, so I'm thinking maybe it'll work for Tomcat.
Thank you very much. I need the Tomcat for Dummies.
Me too.
So by the way, don't be nervous.
Oh,
The
thanks.
presentation was great.
Thanks.
So I'm actually working on a project like this that I think this would be really interesting for. I work at Fastcase, and one of the things we're doing is we're starting to filter search results by topic. So we've extracted like this huge list of legal topics, and whenever those topics appear in the search results, they'll be on the side, and you can sort of say, give me everything that discusses this topic, exclude everything that discusses this other topic. But right now, it's just a list of topics. There's no relationship, there's no ontology, there's nothing else. And I'm wondering if you think that an ontology would be useful in organizing that. And maybe that's a conversation we can have.
Okay. My initial reaction is now that I'm a complete convert now to ontologies. I think they're now useful in.
Now you see them everywhere.
I see them everywhere, and I think we should build them every day. But yeah, let's have that conversation.
Somebody's jumping out there. I'd like to respond to the nice
Please.
lady on the other side of the classroom, if I can, just throw my 2 cents out there. I too have been, watching, I'm sure as most of us have, what's going on and for a while now, and trying to do some things differently in my classroom, even I think before Next was launched. And I'll just be forthright and say I'm a firm believer that legal research is analysis-based, and so that's sort of the approach that I take in my classroom rather than a bibliographic method. And it seems to me, and I can't sort of hone in on it yet, so I'm going to have to walk away and think about this a little bit, but it seems to me that this might be a tool, a teaching tool, to help them build those analysis skills as they go through the process of research, because we've been teaching the process now for some time. But my experience was initially when I began teaching that was sort of words on a page and didn't mean a whole lot to the students. Oh yeah, I should check secondary before I log on. Like, big deal. And Next, I think, has had the effect of causing that to really be ignored because I can just jump on and Google, supposedly. But I think that, so therefore I take the approach that no, you need to be aware of the analysis before, during, and after, right, through the whole deal. And this kind of puts the process perhaps in 3D. So there's a thought. I'm not sure how that can be done, but that's sort of that's what I thought of when I read the thing about your program.
No, me too. And where I've struggled is, thank you, where I've struggled is getting it from my head onto the page, trying to make it come alive.
But maybe it's the students getting it from their head onto it, right? I don't know. But thank you for showing us about it.
Anyone else? Or it doesn't even have to be a question. It sounds like we all kind of have some ideas about how legal research instruction is changing kind of, it seems like every new year with a new class of students. So if there's anything related to that, I'm happy to kind of facilitate a bigger conversation. Yes?
You talked earlier about maybe that it would work better to have collaborations, you have sort of multiple people thinking about these certain words and words. Is there a way to share this among, like you were saying, it was downloaded to your desktop, but if you're working on it, is there a way to collaborate with someone who's maybe not in the same physical location as you?
Yes, there is. I could not do that right now because I would have to do the dummies version of it, but yes, there's totally a way to make it, like people that weren't even in the same state could, you know, through the magic of the interwebs, we could make it happen. Yes.
Do you plan to publish, I mean, obviously this is in the kind of beginning stages and you're partway through the project. Do you, what is your publication deadline? You're going to wait until you kind of finish this? Are you going to have interim articles based on the research you've done so far? Or?
I think I'm gonna try to do it interim, in articles with a different focus. Like I have a paper with the Boulder conference at the AAA conference next month, and it's more formal. But a paper about the learning theory, and then a paper more about like kind of us wrestling with what it means to teach this, what I feel like is this new generation of students, and then more papers on the ontology. And then yeah, I think ideally I would love to actually, or I don't even know if it would be me at that point. It might be more of a group of people, but to actually publish it, like that's the ultimate goal. So, but I keep thinking about it in little steps along the way. Otherwise, I just get really overwhelmed.
You mentioned, I think, medical engineering. I was just thinking, is there another area that has an ontology that you think works really well? That's a good example you can point to as a way to see this is what I'm talking about.
Right now for y'all, is that what you mean?
Yeah, or
Yeah. Let's see. So the problem is that the problem is that actually looking at it means it's hard to look at unless you download it in the right. Yeah. So let's see if I can. Do you want to bear with me while I see what I can find? I think I can get connected to Calvin real quick. It's working. You'll know all of my favorite websites now.
You could use that additional login information, I'd like that either after. Maybe you can just connect it.
Okay, maybe I should connect and then open up the browser.
There was a little bubble that came up. I had this problem earlier today.
So you want disconnect and then reconnect?
I think so.
Okay.
And I think that little bubble will come up again. Yeah, there you go. That additional click on.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. I think one thing of the conference is that everybody encounters technical problems. It's not any one person. It's everybody.
Here we go. Okay. Let's see. think what I can do is take this URL and import it into I think it's supposed to be that easy.
Well, it said something about that, they have a GitHub repository also. Yes, so they maybe that one will have a
Okay.
more portable,
More affordable, okay.
or, I
Imported.
think it was further up the page. Oh, yeah. But it looks like it's very new. This is part of it.
This is perfect. I'm sorry. This is where we bump up against the limits of my technology. I'm trying to think of right now. I'm not doing something wrong. Does anyone have any, something I'm just really missing?
Would it work in the web version? You import it into the web version, or is that limited?
The web version of Protege?
Protege, yeah.
That's the one where I have to download the Apache Tomcat first.
Oh, that's the one we get.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Never mind.
You just went to the zip file, right?
I did.
If you were to go to the second one that was listed after it, you would probably have to save and unzip that one to import it. But the second one,
This your,
no,
this one?
further,
This down here?
yeah, use that as your URL or just copy the address. And then go back to your,
Go back here.
yeah.
It did not like it. I'm sorry.
No, that's.
I thought it would have just.
I guess maybe kind of what I was thinking is there are places, you know, where you can look at like the medical ontology, and you can see how that works out.
Right,
As
right.
part of maybe a URL or something.
Right, sure. Let's see if we can find
An
an
example.
example.
There's like a mesh explorer or mesh growth.
Oh, here we go. Here's a link. It still work. here we go. So let's look at. So this is the hierarchies that they have. And then let's see if I can get it to. Oh, hold on. Let me clear mine out and then try theirs. Okay, I had mine on top of theirs. So let me click. So that's what they seem to be doing. And then they have, we go back and look at the classes. Yeah. Does this help at all?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It's just a little bit more,
A little bit more filled out than mine is?
that's
Okay.
a bigger picture.
All right, I'm just gonna keep clicking then.
Is there anything under entity?
Right here?
No, between, above opposite class, is there anything under entity?
Yeah.
No,
The left hand of the page.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Here we go. And it's my understanding that this is where you use your, things like annotation properties and object properties are where what you use to kind of fill out your relationships and make it more, make it all connected and more dynamic. And then there's that. And then two different views of it. And then I think this would be the place where you could also search it as well. So. I guess I don't have anything else.
I'll meet you down by the
Are you around the whole time?
I'm not leaving yet.
No, it's more like, no,
That was my kind of lack of affect response.
I know, you can. No, I mean, that's.
I was there. That was great. That was great.
Yeah.